in a regime of Republican government, such as the one bequeathed to us by the founders of the United States of America, there's an important role for the judiciary. But the judiciary wasn't meant to exercise the power of the legislature or the power of the executive branch of government. Our founders established 3 co-equal branches at the federal level. And it's important for each of those branches of government to respect the limits of its own power. Too often in our history, both our recent history and going farther back, we found the courts, including the Supreme Court of the United States, turning themselves into legislators, usurping the power of Congress or of the state legislatures, and attempting to resolve issues that are really no business of the courts, but rather are the proper domain of the elected branches of government, the legislative and executive branches. Perhaps the most notorious case of this judicial usurpation of democratic legislative authority in our own time is the case of Roe versus Wade. There was nothing in the text or logic or structure or original understanding of the Constitution that warranted the judiciary in doing what it did, in striking down the laws protecting unborn children. But the Supreme Court of the United States, nevertheless, acting on its own discretion, purported in the name of the Constitution to sweep away those laws. And the court thought, perhaps in good faith, that it was resolving the abortion issue, but there's nothing that has been less resolved than abortion in our culture and in our polity since 1973, when the decision was handed down. And that shouldn't be a surprise, because the decision was literally a lawless decision. The Supreme Court of the United States, in invalidating abortion laws, was not vindicating the law. It was not enforcing the law. It was making up the law and imposing on the whole country the political and moral preferences of 7 unelected and electorally unaccountable lawyers who happen to be justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. The rule of law is a very important value. There's nothing more critical to the success of a polity than respect for the rule of law. But the rule of law is not the rule of lawyers, and it's not the rule of judges. In fact, judges violate the rule of law when, in the name of the Constitution, they act in a way that is unwarranted by the Constitution and intrude upon the domain of the other branches of government. We at the American Principles Project, because we are committed to the principles on which the nation was founded, and we're committed to restoring those principles and making them vibrant and salient again in American political life, intend to place a lot of emphasis on the need for courts to respect the limits of their own authority under the Constitution.